As you know, I am the host of Harvey's Hot Takes, and every week my guest is Bryan Hayes, my good friend from TSN Radio Toronto. We're going to talk about Game 2, another Leafs victory. Though the Leafs fall from behind early, they did not let it get away from them. Bryan, what was the most impressive part to you about that Game 2 win for Toronto?
Well, I think the resiliency, like you said, Jay, and I think really a story that has developed here through two games is that the Maple Leafs are scoring a lot of goals on Sergei Bobrovsky, a guy who we have seen be absolutely incredible the last 2 years and really throughout his career, and also against a Florida Panther team that is very, very stingy and generally makes teams' lives very, very difficult. They've done it the last 2 years, running all the way to a Stanley Cup final, winning the Stanley Cup last year, and we saw it in the first round against Tampa. There was just no room. There was no ice. You know, how often were we talking about Nikita Kucherov couldn't get going? It just didn't happen for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Well, the Maple Leafs have found the formula to break through, and they're doing so off the rush. They're getting odd man rushes. They're getting, breakaways, and they're putting up a lot of goals, and they're getting a lot of opportunities. And I think it's also the fact that they're spreading the wealth, because this is something we've been talking about with this Maple Leaf team for a long time. Yes, the core four is going to be at the forefront of every conversation. And, you know, we've discussed it a million times on this show. I don't think Leaf fans are asking of their best players anything that any other fan base is asking of their best players. You've got to elevate the biggest moments. You've got to put up points. You've got to score goals. Well, tonight we saw that, right? Mitch Marner, William Nylander had big, big goals. Mitch Marner with the game winner in the end. William Nylander in Game 1, he had 2 goals. But it's not just them. It's Max Domi. It's Max Pacioretty. It's offense from the defense. The defensemen were littered all over the game sheet tonight. So I think the Leafs have completely controlled this series through 2 games. It's been a great 2 games. Obviously, if you're a Leaf fan, it's been spectacular. Not necessarily if you're a Panther fan. But the first round against Ottawa, very methodical, not a lot of animosity, not a lot of craziness. The Leafs, again, were in control. This has had basically everything through 2 games, and the Leafs are sitting on top. Something I did not predict, but full credit to the Maple Leafs. They have shown up to play. It's been a great first 2 games. They are officially in the driver's seat here in the second round.
Perhaps no better authority on this current version of the Maple Leafs than Brad Marchand, who has said that this version of the Toronto Maple Leafs feels different than the one he faced as a Boston Bruin. Would you concur, Bryan Hayes?
Yes, I would. And this is a question that has been hovering around this team all throughout the regular season, and certainly leading into the playoffs, and at times in that first round against Ottawa, and certainly leading into this series against the Florida Panthers. How are you different? Right? How are you different? If that core 4 is still here with Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Tavares, and a core 5 if you want to throw Morgan Riley in there, how is it different? Well, I think what they have proven tonight is exactly what they had to their fan base and to the rest of the league, and most importantly to their opponent, and that being the Florida Panthers. This is a game in the past the Leafs do not win. They do not find a way to win this game. They either get complacent because they won Game 1, they get overly emotional because of what happened in Game 1, and I credit their head coach, Craig Berube, for setting the record straight. Right? He was hot after the Game 1, because of what happened with Bennett and Stolarz, and I think he was trying to send a message to the league. Once he found out, Craig Berube, the league wasn't going to do anything to Sam Bennett, it was right back to business mode. It was right back to focusing on Game 2. And you look at the stats that the Leafs supplied tonight. Forget the score sheet. Forget the scoreboard and the fact that they scored a lot of goals tonight and big goals tonight. They had 41 hits, 26 blocked shots. That's very different than what we've seen in the past. And they bounced back when their back has been up against the wall. Tonight, they give up the first goal. They were down 2-1 at one point. It's 3-2 for the Leafs going into the third period. Lundell scores to make it 3-3. Past incarnations of this team, I believe, would have folded in that moment. Instead, 17 seconds later, Marner decides, I'm going to win a battle, I'm going to throw the puck on net, and I'm going to score the game winner. I think it's very significant that they have shown that through 2 games. They showed it against Ottawa, and they keep proving what people have been waiting to finally see. It's all talk until you walk the walk. The Leafs have been saying it. The Leafs have been believing it. This is a different team. We're going to show you. They're up 2-0 in the first round against Ottawa. They close on that. Now they're up 2-0 against Florida in the second round. Again, something we haven't seen in a long, long time. So there's a lot of different examples of why they're different. But I think Leaf fans maybe were a little bit skeptical in the past. After tonight, you can really start to believe it.
Finally, Brian, we have a new segment on the show, a question we're asking all of our guests, and that question is, well, the Utah Hockey Club has officially selected a nickname. It is the Utah Mammoth, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on the nickname. Brian, do you like the nickname, the Utah Mammoth?
No, not a fan. not a fan. I was pulling for the Yeti. I was a supporter of the Yeti. I thought that's what was leaked. I'd stick with Hockey Club if I had to. I'm kind of coming around on Hockey Club. I like calling them the Hockey Club of Utah. Mammoth, I don't know, Jay. It looks too much like the Sabres, too, man. Like, that's just not going to cut it. I think you've got some sort of infringement there. We may see a lawsuit. Buffalo's got to win something. Maybe they take Utah to court and they win that one. I don't know. But I'm not a huge fan.
I feel like it's as if the Sabre on the Hasek-era Sabres uniforms and the Predator on the Nashville Predators uniforms had a torrid romance and their child was a woolly mammoth. And now that's what the Utah Hockey Club is called. This is Bryan Hayes, ladies and gentlemen.
Hot Takes is presented by Harvey's. Customize your burger and get it delivered from our app to your door. Harvey's, it's a beautiful thing.